Transformations, Women, Gender, and Psychology, 3rd edition by Mary Crawford. Chapter 6 continued. Gendered Identities, Childhood, and Adolescence. Gendered Environments. Girls and boys grow up together, but their environment fosters different activities, values, and beliefs. Here we look at just one of many aspects of the environment, the toys children play with. When I was 8, I really wanted a chemistry set. I asked for it for my birthday, but got a Cinderella watch instead. I liked the watch, but I still wanted a chemistry set. I put on my Christmas list, but Santa failed me. Finally, on my 9th birthday, my wish was granted, and my career in chemical catastrophes began. I was not surprised years later to come across a study showing that children were more likely to get an item on their Christmas list if it was gender stereotypical than if it was not. My parents weren't being mean, they just relied on their gender schemas when providing me with toys. And they were not alone. Studies conducted from the 1970s onward in several countries show that boys and girls as young as 5 months old are provided with different toys, such as more vehicles for boys and more dolls for girls. Gender typing in toys is not due only to parents' influence. From an early age, children themselves express strong preferences for gender-typed toys. Gender toy preferences increase during the preschool and elementary school years. Both boys and girls continue to play with gender-neutral toys. It is only the supposedly opposite gender toys that they avoid, and boys do this more than girls do. Children develop activity preferences too, based on their toys. In general, girls' toys are associated with attractiveness, nurturing, and housework skills, whereas boys' toys are associated with violence, competition, and danger. These gender-typed patterns are blatantly reinforced by stereotypical marketing that is directly aimed at children. Almost all children's toys are color-coded. Pink and purple for girls, everything else for boys. Dozens of studies have shown that toddlers develop gender-typed color preferences between the age of 2 and 3 and avoid toys with the wrong color for their gender. Large retailers like Toys R Us clearly distinguishes boys' aisles with brightly colored action figures, tanks, trucks, and guns from girls' aisles with pastel-colored crafts, dolls, toy appliances, and makeup kits. When researchers analyzed the 410 toys listed for boys and the 208 toys listed for girls on the Disney Store website, they found a similar pattern. Brightly colored action figures, building toys, weapons, and vehicles for boys, and pink and purple dolls, beauty gear, jewelry, and domestic tools for girls. The 91 toys listed as suitable for both boys and girls were in colors designed to appeal to boys, who presumably would not go near anything pink or purple. Today, every aspect of children's immediate environments is decorated with highly gendered images, their backpacks, t-shirts, pajamas, shoes, even their water bottles. For boys, it's Spider-Man or the Transformers, images of aggressive, combative masculinity. For girls, it's Disney princesses or pop stars, images of beauty and hyperfemininity. It seems that no toy or activity is exempt from having gender imposed on it, even when an undeniably gender-neutral toy such as a bicycle manufacturers create 2 versions, a pink flower-trimmed bike with a wicker basket for girls and a black heavy-duty BMX version for boys. Distinctions like these foster the development of extended gender schemas in young children. It is though the adults in their lives are telling them, gender is the most important category in the world. Even your bike has to have one. Some parents and child development experts are starting to resist gendered toy marketing to kids. Media influences. The book children read, the TV shows they watch, and the video games they play are all powerful resources of gender socialization. Starting in the 1970s, feminists drew attention to gender stereotyping in children's readers and storybooks. Several studies from the 1970s to the early 1990s showed that boys and men more often were represented as independent, active, competent, and aggressive, whereas girls and women more often were shown as passive, helpless, nurturing, and dependent. Overall, males appeared much more often than females as the main character. Gender stereotyping declined, but did not disappear in the 90s. A study of 83 children's books, published from 95 to 99, showed that about half of the main characters were female, a big improvement from the past, but most of the women still were shown as mothers or grandmothers, with the occasional washerwoman or witch thrown in. Men were shown in much greater variety of roles and occupations than women, but they were rarely shown taking care of children, and no man was ever shown doing household chores. A content analysis of school readers during the same time period showed that male characters were more argumentative, aggressive, and competitive, whereas female characters were more affectionate, emotionally expressive, passive, and tender. Have things changed in the 21st century? Not so much. A study of 200 top-selling and award-winning children's books that were published after 2001 showed that there were nearly twice as many male as female main characters, a throwback to the 70s. Females were far more likely to be shown nurturing others, and both males and females were shown almost exclusively in stereotypical occupations. The good news: females were no longer more passive or more likely to be rescued. With help like this, it's not surprising that children learn gender stereotypes at an early age. Even when they cuddled up with mom or dad for a bedtime story, as psychologist Michael Hamilton put it, children's books provide nightly reinforcement of the idea that boys and men are more interesting and more important than girls and women. Fortunately, even very young children can learn to rethink critically about sexism in their storybooks with a little help. Most children spend a lot more time watching TV and playing video games than they spend with their readers or library books. Kids between the ages of 2 to 11 watch about 24 hours of TV a week. What they see on the children's programming echoes the gender stereotyping in programs for grown-ups. Female characters are underrepresented. Girls are portrayed as more frail, emotional, fearful, and nurturing. Boys are portrayed as more dominant, aggressive, and attention-seeking. What do kids learn about boy-girl relationships? In a content analysis of popular kids programs such as Drake and Josh, Hannah Montana, and others, the most common relationship themes were boys value girls only for how they look, how hot they are, and girls objectifying themselves and flattering boys. Social cognitive theory, cognitive development theory, and gender schema theory all predict that children will internalize and imitate what they see on TV, and sure enough, they do. A meta-analysis showed that the more a child watches TV, the more likely the child is to have gender stereotyped beliefs. In a study of 134 preschool children, the more time a boy spent watching superhero programs, the more male stereotyped his play was when measured a year later. For both boys and girls, watching superhero programs predicted more play with weapons a year later, and several studies have linked viewing TV violence with real-life violence. For example, a longitudinal study of 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade students found that higher exposure to violence on TV, video games, and movies at the beginning of the school year predicted more verbal aggression, relational aggression, and physical aggression, and less positive social behavior later in the school year. Fortunately, there are alternatives to simplistic gender stereotypes aimed at kids. Disney characteristics like Mulan and Elsa in Frozen enlarge the possibilities for girls. The cartoon show My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, became a cultural phenomenon during its 4-year run. It appealed to young girls with its cute characters, rainbows, and pastel colors, but it also provided a healthy challenge to gender stereotypes, according to a content analysis by media researchers. All the primary characters are females. They are in positions of authority, and they lead the development of the plot in non-stereotypical ways. Unfortunately, it seems boys are still not allowed to like shows about friendship and empathy. Many boys reported being called gay for watching the show. In 2014, a North Carolina school district banned 9-year-olds Grayson Bruce from bringing his blue My Little Pony backpack to school because he was being bullied about it. It wasn't until the story went viral that the district relented and decided to educate students about bullying instead of punishing the victim. Video games surpass all other medias, both in popularity and in sexism. Gaming is the leading online activity for children over the age of 6. About 84% reported that they played a video game in the past month, and 20% played every day. Gamers also spend time reading gaming magazines, participating in gaming blogs, and talking with friends about games. Boys aged 11 to 14 are the biggest gamers of all. What are kids learning from video games? One research team summarized the gender messages like this: a sexist patriarchal view that men are aggressive and powerful, and that women are not healthy, whole persons, but sex objects, eye candy, and generally second-class citizens. Females are consistently underrepresented in video games. However, it may be better when women are absent, since when they do appear, it is usually as sex objects, helpless victims, or targets of aggression. Male characters are shown with far more abilities and powers. Video games are more popular with boys, but Barbie dolls and all the media products connected with them are more popular with girls. Among U.S. girls aged 3 to 10, 99% own at least one Barbie doll, and the average number owned is 8. Many girls report going through a phase where they identified intensely with thought she was perfect and wanted to be just like her. But Barbie's proportions gave girls an everyday model of extremely unrealistic body shapes. If Barbie was a full-size woman, she would have a 42-inch bust, 18-inch waist, and 33-inch hips, and her body weight would be so low that she could not menstruate. The odds for a real woman having the same proportions as Barbie are 1 in 100,000. Ken is considerably more realistic. The odds of a man having his proportions are about 1 in 50. Should we be concerned about Barbie's effect on young girls? On the one hand, it's just a doll. On the other hand, it's a doll that provides a model of how a girl should look and be. In other words, Barbie is a powerful tool of gender socialization. Let's look at 2 studies. And the first 5 to 8-year-old girls saw images of Barbie dolls, M dolls, a large weight woman based on full figure model of the same name, or no dolls, and then completed measures of body image. Younger girls exposed to the Barbie images reported a lower satisfaction with their bodies and a greater desire to be thinner than girls in other conditions. Body dissatisfaction can lead to unhealthy eating, excessive dieting, and ultimately to eating disorders. In the second study, girls aged 4 to 7 were randomly assigned to play either with a Barbie or Mrs. Potato Head doll for 5 minutes and then asked about 10 occupations for their future. How many could they do, and how many could a boy do? Overall, girls believed that boys could do more occupations than they could, and the difference was larger for girls who played with Barbie. These 2 studies show that even a few minutes of Barbie play can affect young girls' body images and career beliefs. Maybe Barbie is not just a harmless fashion tool. It's not just Barbie either. Other studies found that 58% of fashion dolls sold at 4 major U.S. stores had moderate to very sexualizing characteristics, part of a disturbing trend to sexualize girls at younger and younger ages. Sexualization is defined as inappropriately imposing sexuality on a person, sexually objectifying a person, or valuing another for only their sexual appeal. You don't have to go too far to see examples of the sexualization of young girls. Walk down the girls' toys aisles in a local store, and you'll find impossibly thin, monster-high fashion dolls wearing thick makeup and knee-high latex boots, and policewoman costumes that display a miniskirt and high heels, but no baton. Venture into the girls' clothing section and you may find padded bras and thongs aimed at preteens. Sexualization is not rare, even among products and media aimed at young girls. For example, among girls' clothing available in 15 popular U.S. stores, 29% were found to have sexualizing characteristics. Given the prevalence of sexualized products, the media, it's perhaps not surprising that many girls come to sexualize themselves. When given a choice between looking like a sexualized doll dressed in a crop top and miniskirt, and a non-sexualized doll in jeans and a long-sleeve shirt, 68% of 6 to 9-year-old girls preferred to look like the sexualized doll, and 72% believed her to be more popular. Girls who watched more media and had mothers who self-objectified were more likely to want to look like the sexualized doll. In other words, these very young girls wanted to look like the sexually mature woman they see in the media and in person. Another study among 815 mothers of 4 to 10-year-old girls found that although overt sexualized behavior was rare, many girls engaged in some sexualizing behaviors, such as using beauty products. This is worrisome because internalized sexualization is linked to lower grades and lower test scores among girls, as well as to self-objectification. People may also view girls dressed in sexualizing ways as different from other girls and treat them differently. Disturbingly, adults in one study viewed young girls dressed in sexualized clothing as less intelligent, less moral, and more responsible for their own victimization.